Myths about Africa, Africans, and African history. Introduction. Myths about various people and places can develop and become popular in a society for a variety of reasons. Europeans and North Americans have developed myths about Africa, Africans, and African history in the context of their enslavement of Africans, their colonization of Africa, and their history of racism. Racism perpetuated and perpetuates myths about black people to denigrate them and to prove that they have no worthy history. This distortion of African history served and serves the purpose of the social, political, and economic subordination of African people on both sides of the Atlantic. These myths ultimately concern Africa and Africans, the continent and people at the origin of the black diaspora. The primary way in which racism denigrates African experience is by creating negative images and stereotypes of Africans and their history. Racism accounts for most of the myths about Africa circulating in North America and more broadly today. A more recent and less important source of myths about Africa and African history comes from within the African community itself. In order to re-instill a sense of dignity and respect for African history denied by racist myths, some scholars and activists have invented new myths about Africans and African history that are not supported by evidence or that serve to elevate Africans at the expense of other people. For instance, the claim that homosexuality is not an African thing, or that Africans are inherently communal vis-a-vis individualistic and selfish West. Many of these represent positive stereotypes of Africans, but are wrong nevertheless. If you really want to learn the real history of Africa and Africans, please listen carefully to these 10 myths. It will pass here one by one in order to learn it very well. This is a History Made channel. If you are happy to know this history about Africa, don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe buttons.